First-time customers at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com receive $25 in WagerBucks after your first initial purchase. All you have to do is sign up, make your purchase, and you'll get $25 in credit.
Teddy covers. Hey guys, welcome to WagerTalk Today. Great show. Marc Lawrence joining us. NC State game, Tennessee, Carolina Panthers. We're going to take them all apart. Arthur DiCesare right after that. Ralph Michaels and Teddy is big game breakdown. But before we even get into that, Teddy, lead story. Zoom dick. Oh my God, dude. So I was racking my brains all night last night. What could I do? You know, how can I start the show doing some kind of Zoom dick thing? And then thank God Vivian is in my life because she ixnayed that completely. Brother, can you, let's put aside Jeffrey Tobin, whatever his actions and what happened. Could you imagine how mortified this guy must be right now?
I'm whacking right now. Our hands aren't on screen. That's all I know.
So I got to tell you a story, Teddy. I got to tell you a quick story. I hope Rick Alec is listening. So me, Rick, and Missy had a meeting in March on Zoom, right after COVID began. Everybody was stuck in. Rick had just done a 5-hour bike ride. Walks into his house, takes a shower, goes and gets a protein shake, sits down, fully dressed with a protein shake, and starts the Zoom call. Except his hand was under the table, and he was doing this. And Missy and I were like this. And eventually I'm like, Rick, what are you doing? Rick, what are you doing? And Rick's like, oh, I'm shaking my protein shake. Dude, I was like, I looked at Rick for 10 seconds before he said that, and I was just in total shock. But in all seriousness, I mean, you want to talk about a man with a libido? He didn't even wait for the show to end. He literally pulled his dick out in the break of the show.
Busy man. You know, he's got a lot of TV gigs. You're going to whack one out. You got to do it, between here and there. Yes, It's unbelievably embarrassing. I really hope, and I don't actually self-pleasure during live shows or podcasts. But yeah, it's certainly a lead, Prez. I'll give you that.
Yeah, it was my mother. It was my mother that called, dude. 9:30, 10 o'clock last night, my mom calls me. She's like, oh my God, have you heard what's happened to Jeffrey Tobin? I'm like, no. She's like, you'll never hear him again. And on that note, we got to ask Marc.
I was going to say, we'll ask Marc about it. I'm sure he'll have a strong take.
Yeah, I mean, Marc Lawrence, come on in, buddy. I mean, you've been doing media your whole life. Have you ever been caught on with a Zoom dick situation?
I never have, Lawrence. This conversation's gone a little bit sideways here. But,
no, it started with Zoom dick, and it remains on Zoom dick.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I would say no comment, but it's not no comment. My answer to that question would be no, never.
Marc Lawrence joining us, everybody, sportsmemo.com. Marc, let's get straight into it. Lots to talk about. NC State plus 17 versus North Carolina, 61. And surprised me because it came out at 64. It was bet down. Teddy last week was talking about NC State's the over team. I said, no, NC is. I'm going on the over in this game. I'm sure you're on the dog. Regale us.
Yeah, I'm on the dog in this football game. No doubt about that here, Prez. You got an NC State football team that is what I call a mission dog this year. They missed the bowl season last year. I think it 4 years in a row they'd gone, had a losing season last year. And you want to play these guys when they're underdogs in revenge, which is what this is. It's also a classic rivalry football game. I think North Carolina is one of the more vastly overrated teams in college football this year. They caught a lot of preseason hype because of what they did last year. The love for Mac Brown doesn't ever seem to end. I think this is a great spot for NC State to step in and pull the rug out on the Tar Heels.
So both of these teams, I'll say, suffered major losses last week. North Carolina, obviously their undefeated season went down in flames. They played a lousy game. They certainly played a very lousy first half.
Yeah.
So we'll call that a major loss. And for NC State, they lost their quarterback, Devin Leary, the guy, Prez, who was one of the reasons why I like this team over the total. Leary suffering, I believe, a season-ending injury. I know he's out this week. Do you worry at all about the quarterback situation for NC State playing with a backup this week? Bailey Hockman looks to me to be a pretty significant downgrade from where Devin Leary was at the QB position.
You know, Teddy, this kind of rallies around a point that I love doing in handicapping, and that's using a backup to replace a star or a starting quarterback, because the team almost always rallies around that backup in that particular start. And I think we're going to see just that in this football game. And it's never hard, as I mentioned earlier, to find rivalry teams getting up for opponents, especially when they're in the role of underdogs and they've got that big revenge chip on their shoulder.
Marc Lawrence joining us, everybody. You're watching Wager Talk today. Mark, Alabama, I mean, just like I don't like betting against Kansas City right now in the NFL, I never bet against Alabama. We had a lot of people on Georgia last week. They're now minus 21 against Tennessee. Georgia whooped Tennessee. Bama whooped Georgia. Syllogism, Teddy. Is Bama going to whoop Tennessee?
Well, what you've got here, Prez, is a really red-faced, embarrassed home underdog who last week really stunk up the joint against Kentucky, hosting the Wildcats. But if you looked inside those numbers last week, 34-7 loss at home by the Vols. Kentucky didn't put up any kind of yardage in the football game whatsoever. They gained fewer than 300 yards in the contest. It was all turnovers that did Tennessee in. 2 crucial pick sixes. Now you've got Alabama coming in here off of their biggest win of the season. That was a marquee game against Georgia. They came back in the second half and won the football game comfortably. There's a wild stat in this football game that comes out where Tennessee, since the second half of the first week of the season, when they led, they've been outscored something like 64-7 since that point. I think a quarterback change may be in order here for Tennessee as well, but I like the situation. I like Alabama in a letdown spot here, and I like the red-faced home dog Tennessee Vols to step up in this football game. I'm going to hold my nose, get the clothespin out, and back the Volunteers.
Well, let me ask you this, because it wasn't just one embarrassing hold-your-nose performance for Tennessee at home. It was back-to-backs. The previous game they lost to Georgia in similar blowout fashion. When it's 2 bad losses in a row, do you think that is a situation where the team more likely to be able to step up in the third game as they step up in class? Or with the 2 bad losses in a row, do you say, let's be concerned about their mentality more than their talent level?
You know, I didn't want to mention that, but I'm going to because you brought it out, Teddy, here. But one of the best roles in all of college football is to back a home team in the third of a 3-game homestand when they've been blown out the first 2 games. You'll almost always find these football teams really reacting to the situation here, which is the role for Tennessee. You couple that with what I mentioned, the aforementioned Alabama letdown after the Georgia game. I love this spot here for Tennessee.
Sheesh. Zoom deck 2. I thought you guys were going to go a little longer there. Carolina, I only needed another 30 seconds. Carolina plus 7.5 versus the Saints. 51.5 is the total. Mark, obviously you're on the dog. I actually wrote in my notes to Joe and Teddy. Does Mark ever play a favorite? Answer that first, Mark. Do you ever play a favorite?
Well, I do Prez, but the bottom line here is when I do, you probably generally want to go the other way, okay? Because when it's that good to me, it's almost too obvious. Or there's a ton of value to the situation because of the reason I'm playing them. You could have a real good football team that's off of a couple of weird inside-out type losses, and they're being priced accordingly because of that. We'll make a case for them. But my philosophy is this Woody Hayes philosophy of mine that I grew up with as a handicapper, and that's when you bet underdogs, 3 things can happen. 2 of them are good. You bet favorites, 3 things can happen, and only 1 of them are good. So I like my chances of 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as Meatloaf would say. That's why I'm on the dogs most of the time.
God, and you know, Teddy's been singing Meatloaf. Last week, he actually asked Joe and I if we like Meatloaf. I mean, that is a question I haven't heard in a long, long time. Mark, Carolina, +7.5. Tell us why they're going to cover.
Well, this is a football team with Matt Rule that I really, really like. You know, they're at a turning point right now. They're 3-3 on the football season here. And you've got, again, I'm going to hearken to the Teddy Bridgewater situation in this game. He's been outstanding as an underdog in games off a loss. He's 21-2 against the spread in his NFL starting career. I like the way that they play football. I like the way they play defense here. I think Carolina wins this football game. I'm on the Panthers plus the points.
Do you worry at all the fact that Bridgewater played for the Saints last year? And one would think that their coaching staff would be more attuned to his weaknesses than the average coaching staff, simply because they watch him in practice every day. Is that a concern for you in this one, or is the broader overall issue this is a bet-on game for Carolina, and we expect the Panthers to step up against a Saints team coming out of their bye?
Another real good point by Teddy Covers here, but my take on this, Teddy, is this. Nobody knows this New Orleans defense like Teddy Bridgewater does, okay, from having been there and practiced against this team. So Teddy Bridgewater knows what's going to be thrown at him. He knows Sean Payton as well as anybody as well. The other side of the equation here is you've got a New Orleans football team that has been absolutely sinful at home in division games as a favorite. On the blind, you look at this football team, they're a 33% point spread play over the last 15 years, New Orleans is. They just choke as dogs laying points at home in division games. They almost always let the invading opponent come in and play to their level. And I like the Teddy Bridgewater situation, not only for what he's done, but because he does know the New Orleans Saints inside and out.
Marc Lawrence with us. Mark, you are awesome. That was such an excellent segment. Sorry to get all lost on Zoom, Dick. Plus, Johnny is in the chat room. He wanted to know why I still had a Playboy. I just want to let you all know. It was a birthday gift. It's the May edition, 1969. I think it's an incredible birthday gift. Mark, I don't think Playboy was around when you were born, so I can't send you one of those. My humble apologies.
Not when this is all I know. When I was coming into my own, Playboy was certainly around. And I'm going to sign off on this note here, guys. I'm a big, huge music buff, okay? Big, huge music buff. In fact, I went to broadcasting school to become a radio DJ. Never made it because the family couldn't afford my tuition. But in growing up here, we lost a great singer here yesterday, in fact. His name was Spencer Davis, and I might be outdating you guys a little bit here.
Give me some lovin', baby.
I'm sorry?
Give me some lovin'.
Maybe, arguably, the best all-time rock and roll song ever. I'm going to throw that out there for conversation.
Can we do another show just where we argue that?
We can
You'll
argue
bring
that.
him.
We can argue that.
Teddy will bring Meatloaf. I'll bring actual rock and roll songs. But anyway, I apologize. Go ahead, Mark. Spencer Davis.
Well, Spencer Davis was my guy because that song, when it comes on, every time it comes on, it's rock and roll to me, is who he was. And it's with a tear in my eye that he passes at the young age of just 70.
Rip to Spencer Davis and rip to Jeffrey Tobin as well. He's Marc Lawrence. He's Teddy. I'm the Prez. Quick break. We're right back with Teddy's big bad beats, bad blah-bitty blah-blahs. Mark, we love you. Thank you, brother.
Love you guys. Be well. Take care.
3 days. days for just $9 more than one 5% best bet. That's right. We are celebrating the return of the Big Ten and Mountain West. This is one of the biggest college football cards of the season. So why would you spend $40 for one 5% play when you can have 3 days of all access for just $49? That includes NFL, college football, the World Series, UFC, and soccer. This coupon is good at both Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. All you have to do is go to your favorite handicappers page, click 3-day all access for $69, and use coupon code SM49 at Sports Memo or WT49 at WagerTalk, and you are set, getting 3 days of all access service, including any 5% best bets for just $49. Apologies, guys. We must limit this special to 2 handicappers at each site.
Welcome back to Wager Talk Today. Teddy Covers and the Prez breaking down the world of sports and sports betting for you here on a Wednesday. It's time for bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. And last night, a very light action day across the betting boards here in Las Vegas. What was the big story? Obviously, the World Series. That was the only story when it came to sports betting last night. And it was a pretty good game for the house, not so much for the bettors. There was heavy under money last night in game 1 of the World Series. The 8s were bet down to 7.5, some of those 7.5s to the under. There was a fair bit of raise money as well. Dodgers win, obviously 8-3. Kershaw dominates. And he got pulled after 6, and the bullpen immediately gave up 2 runs, which sent the game was already over, so it didn't matter. But bottom line, bettors lost big on the side. Bettors lost big on the total, and certainly on the side, it wasn't a great result for bettors. Good night for the books, although limited action with just the one MLB game taking primary a concern in sportsbooks across Nevada. I do want to talk about TV ratings. There's been a lot about how ratings are down, and oh my God, this is the death of sports. And NFL ratings are way down, and college football ratings are way down, and the NBA ratings were insanely down, and baseball ratings are down. Is nobody watching sports? No, this is a misplaced narrative. When you have all the sports going at the same time, the ratings for each individual one are going to go down. When you have sports being played at a time of year where they're not normally played, like NBA playoffs in August or September, the ratings are going to go down. That doesn't mean that interest in sports or sports betting is going down. Look no further than the stocks or where sports betting is involved that have just gone through the roof. Look no further than sports betting handle, which is going through the roof across the country. So, yeah, the ratings are down. There's no question about that. But you put 6 big asterisks by that. I'm not concerned at all about the long-term future for NFL, NBA, MLB maybe a little bit. But for the major sports, the fact that ratings are down, you have to take that with a grain of salt. And that's bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. Back to you, Prez.
Thank you, Teddy. Great stuff. I don't know if you know this, Teddy, but we have guys that come into the chat room specifically for our commercials. And when Kelly or Mitty come on, they like light up. Elliot's like love coming out of his eyes. Oh my Lordy. Look, I get it. And Elliot, there's no camera on you, so do as you please. I want to welcome everybody in. Johnny Outlaw, Nate, Elliot, Trance, Birdie. What's going on? Jessica, nice to have you. Fred Galoob thinks I'm a Barry Manilow fan. No. Adam Lastman, nice to have you with us. Brandon Shin. We really appreciate it, guys. We do every day. We never take you for granted. Teddy, before I get into the promo, I must know why you have that beautiful smile on your face.
Because I think you're probably a Barry Manilow fan too. I thought it was funny.
There is one song I like by him. I just can't remember the name. But hey, look, I mean, the guy made a hell of a career. Good for Barry. You know, who am I? I don't like Nana Muscuri and Placido Domingo. I'm way dating myself. Let's move on. Guys, promo today, same as yesterday. It worked out really, really well. We really appreciate you guys taking advantage of it. WT49 at WagerTalk, SM49 at Sports Memo. Basically, you get 3 days of anyone's plays for $49 instead of $69. That's $20 off. $49, 3 days of plays. Head over to either WagerTalk or Sports Memo. Find the handicapper button at the top. Pick your handicapper. Pick the package and use the promo code SM49 at Sports Memo. WT49 at WagerTalk. Teddy, Arthur DiCesare coming up. We love having him, man. He is just packed with information. Of course, Ralph Michaels right after that. I just want to let everyone know 4 p.m. Eastern today, the NFL presidential address, the second most watched show on our entire channel. So please join us for that. Let's take a quick break so Elliot can get his fix, and then we're right back with Arthur DiCesare.
3 days for just $9 more than one 5% best bet. That's right. We are celebrating the return of the Big Ten and Mountain West. This is one of the biggest college football cards of the season. So why would you spend $40 for one 5% play when you can have 3 days of all access for just $49? That includes NFL, college football, the World Series, UFC, and soccer. This coupon is good at both Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. All you have to do is go to your favorite handicappers page, click 3-day all access for $69, and use coupon code SM49 at Sports Memo or WT49 at WagerTalk, and you are set, getting 3 days of all access service, including any 5% best bets for just $49. Apologies, guys. We must limit this special to 2 handicappers at each site.
Hey, Teddy, what's going on, brother? During the break, you know you're getting old. My daughter is texting me. She has my bank card. She can't figure out how to take money out of the ATM machine. I think that might be a good thing, but now I have to explain it to her, so that's likely a bad thing. You've got a lot ahead of you with your little boy.
I do, but so far, I don't need to worry about any of that stuff. You know, Daddy talks. So far, Izzy listens, and that's a positive sign.
Yeah, one last quick thing, and then we'll bring in Arthur DiCesare. My 19-year-old last night, her and this guy, they've been best friends since grade 9, about 6 years. And as of last night, they are finally dating. She's never had a boyfriend, and when she announced that they were dating, she was so embarrassed. She was laughing hysterically, her head down. She's like, Steph and I are dating. And she ran out the room out of embarrassment. So I am getting old, bro.
I love the graphic.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Arthur DiCesare, we love having you, man. Sportsbook link. You look good.
Hey, what's up, fellas? How we doing today?
Go ahead,
Prez,
Teddy.
your intros are something special, man. You're not, hey, Arthur, how's it going? What's going on with the link? It's like, how do you look? And let's talk about Zoom Dick. We're not talking about Zoom Dick anymore on this show, okay?
Hey,
not going to happen.
No more Zoom Dick, but I do want to announce that I hit my personal best on the Peloton this morning again.
That's wonderful. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask our special guest as he comes into the show, or do you want to just hand it off to me?
Yeah, please take it over.
Arthur, how are you today, sir?
Good, Teddy. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Glad you would join us on your, again, Arthur works 6 days a week. He joins us on his day off. So for what it's worth, we really appreciate that. Of course, from the Link Sportsbook on the Las Vegas Strip, one of the Caesars properties. How's business at the Link this last week? You guys getting busy? Anything going on? Or is it still real quiet during the week and then busy on the weekends?
No, yeah, Teddy, absolutely. Still, like I said, as we've talked about, a little slow during the week, but weekends are rocking and rolling, man. I mean, I've definitely seen, nothing but busy, busy times, lines, people at the counters, a lot of action. So it's definitely nice. The weekends are great. I think the weekdays will start to come back a little bit, but, especially during football season, we live for the weekends.
Now, I don't want to focus too much on Vegas news, but there's been a lot of news about shootings on the Strip and violence on the Strip and stuff. Have you seen that? Is there a difference in town and the clientele that's coming to town? Is there a difference in terms of the threat level on the Strip on a nightly basis? What's your take on the bad pub that Las Vegas has been getting of late?
Yeah, Teddy, obviously we all read the news, we all listen to the news, and we all see that type of stuff. I personally have not seen it or had, felt any threats or felt that, it was different. But, I just, I take every day as, okay, listen, I still work in a casino. You always got to kind of, quote unquote, keep your head on a swivel. So, you're in a casino with all this money, this, that, and the other. So, I don't really buy into that much. But having heard all this news, I definitely am a little bit more on high alert. But I still try to, be positive and deal with all the customers in a great way. And, I have a lot of positive experiences working, so I can't complain.
Sure. And I was out and about on Monday night, and it felt perfectly normal to me for what it's worth. Speaking of perfectly normal, the World Series being played in late October, that's perfectly normal. What have you seen so far, certainly last night for Game 1 of the World Series, and then for tonight with Game 2 to be played? Let's break down the World Series a little bit, because I did not use that for big game breakdown time. Let's me and you talk a little World Series, Arthur. What are you seeing in terms of action last night, and what's your take on tonight's game?
Sure, absolutely, Teddy. I mean, last night, definitely Dodger money. It's been Dodger money. It's always going to be Dodger money. And obviously we got a lot of liability on the Dodgers winning the World Series. Today's a little bit different of a game because, obviously Tampa's going to pitch Snell, but the Dodgers have pretty much said, we're starting Goslin, but then it's going to be a bullpen game for us. So they're kind of a short price right now at minus 137. But yeah, I don't know. I still think we'll get a lot of Dodger money. It's just the way it's been. It hasn't been a hugely bet World Series because, maybe people don't love the matchup. Maybe people wanted to see that Houston Dodgers rematch and see the bad blood there. But I don't think we're going to stop getting Dodger money. And I really believe if the Dodgers win tonight, there's a real chance they'll sweep.
Arthur, I got a quick question for you. One of our listeners, Scott, writes, and I think this is an excellent question. My Tampa Bay future bet is dated for the World Series start date of October 16th. If the Rays win the series, is his bet still good?
That's a great question, Prez. I advise everyone and always check with your sportsbook and your sportsbook house rules. I don't know where his ticket is from. You always need to make sure, regardless of what property you've bet at, you need to make sure that ticket is still action because there's no guarantee it is. Most books are pretty generally, they're going to have the same rules here and there, but you never know. And the language could be different on some of them. So you always got to make sure you double check that.
Yeah, there was a high profile case within the last week. I'll talk names because we can. With Gil Alexander, one of the VSiN hosts, battling against the Westgate about a golf future, which most books honored and some books didn't. I wouldn't expect something like that for the World Series anywhere. I would think the World Series getting played, if anyone cancels a World Series future wager, that's really pushing the boundaries. I would expect that wager to be honored. Agree?
Well, Arthur, I'm gonna make this really easy.
Teddy, I totally agree, and that's exactly the one that you were just talking about. That was the high profile one. Listen, I agree. The World Series is going to be played. It's October. It's basically going to end when it was supposed to end. But like I said, it never hurts to double check with your sports book because you don't want to be going to that window and thinking, "Ooh, I got this type of payout," and then it's a refund, and then you get into some sort of situation. So always double check.
Especially if you're going to try to hedge off of something, because that's where you can get yourself in trouble. You think you got a payout coming in and you make a big hedge bet and then, oops, you have to pay off your hedge bet and your payout doesn't come. That happened to me once it will never happen again.
Well, Scott,
100%.
Arthur, I'm going to make this easy. Scott made that bet at a place called The Link.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Wow. Scott, I wonder if I was there when you made that bet. Yeah, that bet's going to be action.
There you go, Scott. Not only is that bet still live, but Arthur literally told me through the screen into my head, next time you come in, ask for him. He's got a drink ticket for you. Didn't you just tell me that? He's got two for you, Scott.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
Of
Teddy.
course, we've got Arthur DiCesare here from the Link Sportsbook at ArtDice21 on Twitter. He is an excellent Twitter follow. I encourage you, give him a follow today. Let's start talking some football. Enough with the MLB for tonight. Obviously, World Series Game 2 this evening. Football action. Just a quick recap from last week. Any big winners or losers stand out? How was Monday night for you? How was Sunday night for you? Overall, bettors versus books in week 6 of the NFL and college.
Teddy, I would say this week was a house week. NFL, we had a lot of positives. Green Bay losing outright was a positive. Patriots losing outright was a positive. Ravens not covering was a positive. So that was good. On Monday, the Chiefs covering was not good for us. People were on the Chiefs. But as far as the NFL goes, it was definitely a positive week 6 in the NFL. College, college is hit or miss here and there. I would say the best result was probably Kentucky taking care of Tennessee. And then the Bama game was interesting because we needed Bama to win, but we kind of needed Georgia to cover. So we kind of needed it maybe to be a 3-point game there. But, it wasn't anything that was that bad. And I guess the overhitting, wasn't great because I feel like sharps were on the under, but I don't know. I just feel like college was kind of a wash, but it was a good NFL day outside of the Chiefs and the Bears. The Bears wasn't that great.
Nice stuff. Arthur, listen, I got a quick question. Yesterday we had Dave Sharapan on. He mentioned the enormity of the handle on that Georgia-Alabama game. Was it the same with you? Did it really stand out as just an enormous handle?
Yeah, definitely, Prez. Obviously, that was the game of the year, 3 versus 2. It's funny so far because we haven't had late college football. Basically, in Vegas, your last college football game has been 5 o'clock. So that was the last game of the day. I mean, that really was, it was a standalone game, basically. You basically had that. And I know you had some games that started at 4 and 4:30, but they did not have the intrigue of that game. So, yeah, we saw a lot of nice handle on that game. People were in the books for that. People were definitely fired up for that game. So it was nice to have. So, when you have that quote unquote kind of standalone game and all eyes are on that game, there's definitely more people betting it.
Now, we have to note, all right, I don't mean to make fun of you, but we have to note, when the books have a bad week, you hear every sportsbook director coming on and say, oh, we got clobbered. Oh, the bettors killed us. When the books have a good week, you go, oh, yeah, it was okay. Yeah, pretty good day for the house. Agree?
Teddy, I can't fight you on that one. You're probably right. I try to take everything in stride. If we have a terrible week, I'm not on the ledge. And if we have a great week, you got to move on to the next week. We all know this is a week in and week out, day in and day out business. But you're right. I probably downplay it a little too much.
It's funny.
Arthur,
it's not you. It's the entire industry. So don't take it on yourself that you're doing something wrong. You do what you guys do, which is downplay the wins and upplay the loss a little bit, which is the same thing that bettors do. So it's not like your side of the counter is any different from our side of the counter. Instead of looking back, we broke down game 2 of the World Series. Let's look forward a little bit. Thursday night NFL action. What are we seeing in terms of the Giants and the Eagles? Looks like there's been some sharp play on the Giants over the last 24 hours.
Teddy hit it right on the head. Absolutely. Giants opened at 6. They're now 4.5. Weird game. The Giants are bad, but the Eagles are bad. I just think people feel, hey, let's take the Giants. They're getting 6, getting 5, getting 4, 4.5, whatever. Eagles shouldn't be favored by almost a touchdown over anyone. So you've definitely seen sharp money on the Giants. That's why the line has moved to 1.5.
Have you seen anything else in the NFL in terms of early week action that stands out? like that big sharp move on the G-men against the Eagles tomorrow night.
Yeah, Teddy, the two games I would highlight are the two are involve both teams that are 0-6 ATS. Cowboys, 0-6 ATS. They were -3.5. They're now pick 'em against Washington, which is incredible.
Yeah.
And then you have the Bills, who are -11. Now they're -13 against the Jets. No surprise there. I mean, the Jets are clearly the worst team in the league. They have not even been competitive in their games. Obviously the Cowboys have a couple wins, but the Jets how do you not bet against them every week? They're just not competitive. So those are the two that have moved, 3.5 points and 2 points respectively, because those teams are both very bad and they've both yet to cover a game this year.
We've got just a few minutes left here with
ahead.
Arthur DiCesare from the Link Sportsbook here in Las Vegas. Let's shift over to college for a minute, Arthur. Are you seeing anything in terms of early week shark action on the college football slate?
Teddy, the one thing I'd like to bring up in college is obviously, we get the Big Ten starting this week, which is awesome. It's great to throw another conference in there and obviously a big time conference. So we've actually seen money come in on these Big Ten games. Ohio State, no surprise, they're getting money, even though they're laying 26.5. I mean, people, we've talked a couple of times since I've been on with you in the last year or so. Ohio State always gets money. So people have been betting Ohio State. Michigan's gotten a little money. It's gone from 2 to -3 against Minnesota. So there's been a little bit of a move there. And even though the numbers pretty much stayed steady, there's been money on Penn State. So kind of the big boys in the Big Ten have been receiving money.
Great stuff, Arthur. We can't thank you enough. Every Wednesday you give us your time, regale us with your thoughts. So interesting. We love having you. I can't wait to get down to Vegas and see you. I don't need a drink ticket because I don't drink, but I'd love to see you. I honestly, it's not even, I got to get out of Toronto. Like, I'm going COVID crazy.
Well, let me jump in real quick, because when this stuff ends and when we have a chance, we're going to have a party. All right. We're going to invite everyone to Vegas. We're going to invite the WagerTalk Today viewers to come to Vegas, and we're going to have a party. And I like to set it up at the Link when the time comes. So, whether it's Super Bowl, whether it's March Madness, we're going to do something where you guys get to come out and meet us and hang out with me and Prez. And I'd love Arthur to be there, et cetera, et cetera. We'll figure that out. Unfortunately, right now, the time is not right. Arthur, anything you want to promote before we let you go?
Well, that sounds amazing. That'd be a lot of fun. Obviously, we got a really good spot to do that at. But yeah, like I do every week, man, just, come down to the Link, guys. We got a great setup, a lot of fan caves, a lot of action, great food, great drinks. So, just come down to the Link, come say hi, come down and enjoy the weekend, and everyone be safe always.
Awesome stuff, guys. Let's take a quick break. Right back. Teddy's a big game breakdown and Ralph Michaels.
Only $99 for the gold sheet for the rest of the season? That's right. The Big Ten, Pac-12, and MAC are just getting started. The college football season is going deep into December. We'd like to offer you the rest of the 2020 college football season for only $99. That's right. You get expert analysis, power ratings, stats, and more for both college football and NFL. This $99 special also includes all of the college football bowl games and takes you through the Super Bowl. Just go to www.goldsheet.com/WagerTalk and use the code CFBIsBack. Add on the Gold Sheet Extra and CKO for the best bang for your buck.
Whereas Kansas State, the big news, is that Skylar Thompson's hurt. Will Howard taking over.
I gotta stop.
Thompson.
I gotta jump in. I'm told Teddy is muted.
I'm good. Okay. Thank you for jumping in. But Howard's taking over for Skylar Thompson, 9.8 yards per attempt. Same as Thompson had, but he's only 16 of 32 with his completions. There is a drop off there at the QB position for K-State. So both Kansas and Kansas State have lost, let's call them key offensive weapons. Last year, the score was 38-10. And everyone said, oh, Chris Kleeman's going to run it up the same way that Bill Snyder used to run it up. Snyder had a particular interest in running up the score against their in-state rival. He didn't want Kansas to get any of the recruits. He wanted it to be real simple. And when Snyder had a chance to punch in the extra touchdown late, he did. There were a lot of blowouts in that series. I bet K-State over the long term, over the last 20 years, he's done very well against Kansas. However, last year's final score, 38-10. The year before was 21-17, very close game. But 38-10 last year, you say, oh, Kleeman did it again. Didn't play out that way. That game was tight. It was, I think, 17-3. And then Kansas had a bad fake punt from inside their own 30, easy touchdown. Then the next drive, Kansas went for it from their own 25, got stuffed, easy touchdown. The final score not indicative. Even though the box score, this is one of these stories where the final score and the box score, they're lying at least a little bit if you don't actually go through the play-by-play in the game recap and remember what happened in that game for what it's worth. So this is a lot of talk so far. I haven't given really anything, all right? The Kansas defense has allowed 38-plus in every game. There's a ton of quit in that unit. I can't play the under when I don't trust one team's defense, especially with Deuce Vaughn on the other side, who's a threat to take to the house every time he touches the football. I don't want to lay a price with Kansas State knowing that they're playing with the backup QB, knowing that last year's final was misleading, knowing that this is a Kansas, if they're going to step up for one game, this is their game. So that leaves me basically with taking Kansas plus the points or taking the over. Whenever I put you cannot make money betting on bad college football teams. Can't do it. Go back and look at the end of every season. Look at the teams that finish 4-8 or worse, and you'll see at the end of the year, lose money. This one lost money. That one lost money. The other one lost money. Kansas is a bottom feeder. They may be able to cover this in the rivalry game, but in general, I don't want my money on teams like Kansas. So Kansas is out of the equation, which leaves me with an overplay in a series that doesn't go over, with a backup quarterback on one side and a team that lost their best skill position talent player on the other side. I don't want that either. Long story short, appreciate the question. Kansas State, Kansas. For me, it's a clear pass. That's today's big game breakdown.
Thank you, sir. Teddy, sorry about the sound issues, guys. All good to go. Teddy, really quick, I just want to look at the chat room, make a couple of mentions. One of the guys, James, I said I want to get out Toronto. He said he wants to get out of Sydney. Teddy, have you ever been to Sydney, Australia?
I have not. I've never been to Oz.
I lived in Sydney for 3 years. I lived the street behind Bondi Beach. There is nobody on the planet that wants to get out of Sydney. It is literally the third greatest city ever. It's unbelievable, that city. Can you tell me the first two?
Let's bring in Ralph Michaels.
No! What? Ralph, have you ever been to Sydney? I'm not letting him change topics.
No, I have not.
Okay, I know. You don't want to talk Sydney either. Ralph, me and you, 4 p.m. NFL presidential address. Guys, make sure to check that out. And, okay, no small talk from me. Ralph,
well,
go.
No. You have to say what the other two cities are. I'm just not going to spend 15 minutes guessing them. What are the top two?
The number one city in the world as far as beauty goes is where I was born, Cape Town, period. My second favorite city in the world is Tel Aviv, and my third favorite city is Sydney, Australia, with Vancouver as number 4.
That's a fascinating list. Ralph, please let's take the camera away from Prez.
Teddy, I'm going to come right back to you on this, and it's the angle of the day. And I talk about angles of the day, and I say, don't base a play on a trend or an angle because so much can happen. And there's so much riding. This is one trend that I have actually blindly played last year and had great success. Not sure if I'll get to the window with it this week, but it's this simple. I may have mentioned this a couple weeks ago, and we may have talked about this. I'm getting old, guys, and as I go through these angles of the day, if I repeat them, I apologize. Pittsburgh Steelers, 6 overs, 34 unders, and 2 pushes when they're on the road as a favorite or a dog to 5. So that's almost 90% of their road games. When they go on the road, they are a conservative bunch. They do not run up the score. They start running the ball. So Pittsburgh, simply 6 overs, 34 unders, and 2 pushes, 85% to the under as an away favorite or an away dog of up to 5 points. Teddy, did I bring this one up before?
Not that I remember. And if you did, bring it up again, because any trend that goes 34 and 6 over a multi-year span is worth talking about, especially when it's a trend that makes sense. This is, it's team specific, but it's also coach specific because Tomlin's been there for 100 years now. Since he's been there since Cowher left, which feels like a long time now. It has been a long time. When you have a coach specific angle that deals with a total in relation to a side when they're favorites or short dogs. So there's a point spread element to it, but it says when this team is basically as good or better or close to their opponent on the road, this is the way the coach plays it. A more conservative style, less offensive explosions. It makes perfect sense. So if you're betting things blindly, this is not a bad one to bet blindly. Steelers under 85% of the time in this point spread range on the road.
Situational play of the day. I am becoming a little thief here, and I'm going to the back end of Wager Talk, and this one's courtesy of Carmine. If you guys tuned in on Monday, Carmine was the situational play of the day. He had Red Bull Leipzig. It was a winner. That game was yesterday on Tuesday, but it was going to start before we went off. Well, I'll tell you what. He's got a Champions League play today. It's Manchester City, minus 1.5 goals. The Champions League gets underway. They're minus 125 against Porto. That game kicks off today on Wednesday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Situational play of the day, Manchester City. And again, Carm, thank you for the Tuesday winner, which we released here in this spot on Monday's show. And guys, I now wanted to break out for the Wager Talk. Did you know? Looking at back-to-back road games in the NFL, people give this too much credence. There's too many times I hear people say, "Oh, I'm going to fade this team because they're back-to-back road games." Guys, it's a whole different story in the NFL now. These back-to-back road games are not this horrendous traveling spot. They travel, with these jets, and they're getting right to where they need to, and they're staying in first-class facilities. So I just wanted to break down the numbers since 2015. And there's no real specific reason I broke down 2015 except this. That's when the extra point line got moved back. There was a change in scoring concepts at that season. So a lot of times when I'm looking at numbers, I go back to that start of the 2015 season. Back-to-back away, since 2015, 48.4%. Back-to-back off a win, 47%. Back-to-back off a win as a dog, 48%. Again, no numbers that are going to sway you one way or the other. If you are off a back-to-back away off a straight-up win, again, a win as that should be a win as a dog. It's 49.8%. If you're off a loss as a favorite, this is one that you start looking at. If you are on the road, you lost the first road game as a favorite, you are now up to 54%. Then I wanted to look at division games. Back-to-back games off a division game. If you played a division foe and now you're playing a non-division foe, you are 52.6%. If you are off a non-division foe, and now you are playing a division foe, only 45%. So that's one to mark down and remember. So you're back-to-back, playing a division foe in that second road game. And I also wanted to note, when you're playing a division foe, the over-under, 41.5%. And here's a situation for the Browns. They were on the road against Pittsburgh. Now they're on the road against Cincinnati. Those teams still basically a toss-up, 48.8%. But the over-under in that Browns-Cincinnati game, when a team is playing back-to-back division teams on the road, 30.2% to the over, almost 70% to the under. So that's one to take a markdown. All right, guys. So back-to-backs we went through. There was nothing wow. There was nothing that's going to make you change your bet. But I wanted to bring up two unique concepts specifically for this KC-Denver game. And I wanted to bring it up today, Prez, to make sure you didn't say this on the air. How many times are we going to hear today, Teddy, or this week, or how many times are we going to read, oh my God, KC's on a road game, and now they have to go to Denver. You're playing a second of back-to-back in the altitude in Denver. I've heard that so many times. So I have to go look at the data. You know me. Since 2006, when a team is on the road and the next week they are at Denver, back-to-back road games, no bye in between, and they're playing Denver in that altitude, they are 63.6% at Denver, going 21-12 ATS. Only twice have they done it with 6 days rest. So again, that is a myth. Yes, there's altitude in Denver. Yes, the line is adjusted because of it. Yes, teams are now prepared for it much better than they were 25 years ago. So since 2006, when you're playing Denver on the road and coming off a road game, you have actually covered in Denver 64% of the time. So that is an angle that says, okay, I want to look at Kansas City. But I did want to bring up one other scenario which does make a difference. Back-to-back road games off a Monday night game. So you are playing late Monday night. You are losing a day of rest. You are losing a day and a half of practice time. Those teams since 2011 have gone 5-11, 31%. And this is the only time all year the NFL has scheduled this. So the NFL did KC no favors being on the East Coast for a Monday night game. Being on the East Coast for a Monday night game and then having to travel for a second straight week in Denver. Again, it doesn't matter where they are, but 5-11 ATS back-to-back roads off a Monday nighter.
Sure, and you talked about some of the under situations. Definitely worth noting the forecast for Denver on Sunday, snow. That total has gotten pounded down overnight and in the early morning hours. We're seeing heavy under money for the Broncos Chiefs with bad weather expected. Prez?
Okay, it's my turn to wrap this show up. Guys, here's what's coming up this week. I know a lot of you are talking about the UFC in the chat room, and I want to make one quick comment. We are going to have Gianni on tomorrow. We're going to talk UFC as well. We are going to have something from Kyle Anthony, who's on an 8-1 MMA run. As well on UFC. One of you guys are talking about betting Gaethje, and I get it. You know, close to plus 280 or something. If you're going to bet Justin G, bet him on the knockout, plus 400. If he wins, he knocks him out. So just want to give you that info. I have a play in MMA as well, and I am perfect in MMA to date. Ralph, you and I, NFL presidential address, 4 p.m. today. Teddy, what do you have going on today?
I'm shooting videos with Kelly in Vegas. I've got a look-ahead line report with Joe Ranieri, and I'm doing an NFL Every Game on the Board breakdown with Drew Martin Wednesday. We sit in front of the camera a lot.
Well, the camera likes you. Guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you all tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. Teddy, take us home, baby.
Sure. Thanks to Marc Lawrence for joining us. Thanks to Ralph Michaels for joining us every day. Thanks to Arthur DiCesare from The Link for joining us. Presses his headphones off, so I'm not going to thank him at all. Thank you for watching. We'll be back again in 23 hours right here on Wager Talk Today.
3 days for just $9 more than one 5% best bet. That's right. We are celebrating the return of the Big Ten and Mountain West. This is one of the biggest college football cards of the season. So why would you spend $40 for one 5% play when you can have 3 days of all access for just $49? That includes NFL, college football, the World Series, UFC, and soccer. This coupon is good at both Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. All you have to do is go to your favorite handicappers page, click 3-day all access for $69, and use coupon code SM49 at Sports Memo or WT49 at WagerTalk, and you are set, getting 3 days of all access service, including any 5% best bets for just $49. Apologies, guys. We must limit the special to 2 handicappers at each site.